The night sky holds a profound and unsettling quiet. With trillions of stars, the cosmos should be teeming with voices, yet we hear only silence. This is the Fermi paradox, the core of a mystery called the Great Silence. By the end of this journey, you will have explored 30 distinct explanations for this cosmic quiet. From the terrifying to the sublime, we will investigate whether we are truly alone, if everyone is hiding from something, or if the universe itself is an illusion. What does this vast and silent expanse make you wonder about our own place among the stars? That simple lunchtime question, "Where is everybody?" echoed far beyond that Los Alamos cafeteria. It crystallized a deep and growing unease among scientists. The universe is not just vast, it is overwhelmingly fertile ground for life. Consider our own galaxy, the Milky Way. It contains over 100 billion stars. A significant portion of those are sun-like stars, and orbiting them are billions of planets nestled in the habitable zone, that perfect distance where water can pool as a liquid on a rocky surface. The numbers are not just large, they are deafening. If only a tiny, almost insignificant fraction of those worlds developed life, and if only a minuscule fraction of that life evolved intelligence, the galaxy should be a bustling metropolis of civilizations. We should see their engineering projects, their interstellar probes, their radio signals crisscrossing the void. The silence we observe, therefore, is not a simple absence of data. It is a profound contradiction. It is the sound of our deepest expectations crashing against a wall of nothing. This paradox forces us to re-examine everything we think we know. Perhaps life is far more fragile than we assume, snuffed out again and again by cosmic disasters. Or maybe intelligence itself is a rare fluke, a spark that almost never catches fire. There could be a great filter, a barrier so immense that almost no civilization survives it, waiting for us somewhere in our future. The unsettling truth of the Fermi paradox is that its answer, whatever it may be, will fundamentally redefine our place in the cosmos. It suggests that one of our most cherished beliefs is wrong, and that is a mystery worth exploring from every possible angle. Perhaps the answer to the great silence lies not in the stars, but right here at home. Earth might seem like a standard model of a planet, but a closer look reveals it as a cosmic masterpiece, a collection of fortunate accidents so precise that it could be one of a kind. This is the foundation of the first theory, known as the rare Earth hypothesis. It proposes that while simple, single-celled life might arise relatively easily on many worlds, the journey to complex, intelligent technology using beings requires a perfect and incredibly rare storm of conditions. Think of our planet not as a common pebble on a beach, but as a singular, exquisitely cut diamond. For life to advance beyond microbes, a world needs a very specific resume. It starts with a stable, long-lived star like our Sun, one that does not flare violently and sterilize its planets. The planet itself must be just the right size. Too small, and its gravity cannot hold a life-sustaining atmosphere. Too large, and it might become a crushing gas giant. Then there is our Moon. It seems like a distant companion, but its gravitational pull acts as a steadying hand, preventing Earth's tilt from wildly fluctuating over millennia. Without our large Moon, our climate would veer between extreme ice ages and scorching heat, making the long, stable epochs necessary for complex evolution nearly impossible. Our planet is also geologically alive. Plate tectonics constantly recycle carbon, regulating our climate and preventing a runaway greenhouse effect. Our location is equally vital. We orbit within the Sun's habitable zone, that Goldilocks region where water can remain liquid. But we also reside in the galaxy's habitable zone, a safe spiral arm away from the deadly radiation of the crowded galactic core. The rare Earth hypothesis suggests that each of these factors, from our giant moon to our tectonic activity, is a critical link in a chain. The probability of another world possessing this entire chain of perfect conditions might be astronomically low. So, the silence we hear may simply be the sound of an empty nursery. Microbial life could be widespread, but the universe may be devoid of other voices because the stage for intelligent life to evolve is almost never built. We are not hiding, and no one is hiding from us. We may, in fact, be utterly alone. But what if Earth is not so rare after all? What if the conditions that led to us are actually quite common, yet the cosmos remains silent because a single, nearly impassable barrier stands in the way? This is the chilling concept of the Great Filter, a theory that suggests the path from sterile matter to a galaxy-spanning civilization is littered with obstacles, and one of them is almost impossible to overcome. Think of it as a cosmic bottleneck. The journey of life involves many critical steps: the spontaneous formation of self-replicating molecules, the assembly of the first cell, the evolution of complex multicellular organisms, the dawn of tool using intelligence, and finally the technological capability to reach for the stars. The Great Filter theory posits that one of these steps is so phenomenally unlikely that it effectively stops almost every potential civilization in its tracks. Where this filter is located holds the answer to our deepest existential questions. It could be behind us, a hurdle we have already, and perhaps miraculously, cleared. Perhaps the greatest leap was not intelligence, but something far more fundamental, like the transition from simple prokaryotic cells to the complex eukaryotic cells that make up all plants, animals, and fungi. That single evolutionary innovation took over 1 billion years to happen on Earth. If that is the filter, then we are the incredible, lucky survivors, and the silence is simply the sound of a universe where almost no one else made it past the starting gate. But there is a far more unsettling possibility. The filter might not be in our past, but waiting for us in our future. Every advanced civilization might inevitably discover a technology that becomes its own doom. It could be a runaway climate catastrophe, an engineered pandemic, a nuclear holocaust, or something we have not yet conceived, like self-replicating nanobots that consume the biosphere, or an artificial intelligence whose goals do not align with our survival. If this is true, then the silence is a graveyard. We look up at the stars and hear nothing because every civilization that reached our level of development has already vanished. This theory forces a brutal self-reflection. Are we the uniquely early ones, the first to emerge in a young universe? Are we the uniquely lucky ones, having beaten impossible odds? Or are we, like so many who may have come before, tragically doomed, blissfully unaware of the cliff edge that lies just ahead? The Great Filter is the dark shadow behind many other explanations for the silence, a constant reminder that our success so far is no guarantee of our future. The silence surrounding us might not be empty at all. It could be a carefully curated exhibit, and we are the main attraction. This leads us to a third, deeply intriguing explanation for the Great Silence, the Zoo hypothesis. Picture our entire planet as a protected wilderness area within a vast interstellar sanctuary. According to this idea proposed by radio astronomer John A. All advanced extraterrestrial civilizations know we are here, but they have chosen a strict policy of non-interference. They are the ultimate naturalists, and we are the uncontacted tribe they are studying from a profound and undetectable distance. Their goal would not be conquest, but pure observation, allowing our species, our cultures, and our technologies to develop along their own natural paths, completely free from the shattering influence of knowing we are not alone. Think of it as the prime directive from science fiction, but applied on a cosmic scale. Our entire history, from our first steps out of Africa to our first steps on the moon, could be a long-term documentary for an unseen audience. They might be waiting for a specific milestone, a moment when we achieve a unified planetary civilization, or perhaps develop a certain type of technology that proves we are ready to join the galactic community. This theory completely reframes the silence. It is no longer an absence of sound, but the quiet hum of a one-way mirror. The cosmos is not dead, it is patiently watching. This raises profound questions about our own actions. If this is true, what kind of behavior are our observers documenting? Are we showing promise, or are we a cautionary tale of a species struggling with its own power? The unsettling beauty of the zoo hypothesis is that it offers a universe teeming with life, while leaving us in a state of solitary contemplation, forever wondering if our next great discovery will be the day we finally notice we are being watched. What if our search for aliens is failing because we are looking for the wrong thing entirely? We scan the skies for radio signals and massive engineering projects, but what if the ultimate destiny of intelligence is not to conquer the cosmos, but to leave it behind? This is the core of the fourth theory, the Transcension Hypothesis, proposed by futurist John Smart. It paints a startling picture of cosmic evolution. The hypothesis suggests that every sufficiently advanced civilization does not spread outwards across the galaxy. Instead, it inevitably turns inwards, transcending its biological origins to achieve a state we simply cannot perceive. Think of it not as extinction, but as a graduation. A species might master its own biology, uploading its collective consciousness into incredibly dense computational substrates. They might abandon starships to harness the immense processing power at the edge of a black hole, or learn to move into higher spatial dimensions that are completely beyond our senses. From our limited three-dimensional perspective, their activities would be as undetectable as the internet is to a single-celled organism. We are searching for physical neighbors in a universe where everyone has moved into a different room, a room whose door we cannot even see. The cosmos would appear barren not because it is empty, but because it is filled with entities that have evolved beyond our crude methods of detection. They are not hiding from us, they have simply moved on to a deeper level of reality, leaving behind the physical universe as a kind of abandoned playground. This theory reframes the Great Silence not as a failure, but as a sign of a universal destiny. Perhaps the silence is the hum of a universe maturing, of countless civilizations reaching a stage of development we can only dream of. The question then becomes, is this our future as well? Is the destiny of humanity to one day leave the stars behind and disappear into a reality of our own creation? Our galaxy could be filled with civilizations that have simply gone to sleep. This is the fifth theory, the Aestivation Hypothesis, and it suggests a form of cosmic hibernation on an unimaginable scale. Imagine a super-civilization that has conquered scarcity, mastered its energy needs, and achieved a state of post-scarcity perfection. With all its immediate desires met, its ultimate goal becomes long-term survival and the pursuit of knowledge on the grandest scale. But here it encounters a fundamental problem of physics. The universe is still too warm. Think of it like this: running a powerful computer generates heat, and cooling it down requires energy. The same principle applies to the ultimate computer, a civilization simulating entire realities or calculating the deepest secrets of the cosmos. these immense computational tasks would be vastly more efficient in a colder environment. Right now, the background temperature of space, warmed by the afterglow of the Big Bang and the radiation from countless stars, is about 3 degrees above absolute zero. But in the far, far future, as the universe expands and stars burn out, that temperature will plummet towards absolute zero. For a civilization thinking in terms of billions of years, the logical choice is clear. Why waste energy and compute power struggling against the cosmic heat now, when simply waiting will create the perfect conditions for your ultimate projects? So they aestivate. The term comes from a biological process, like a desert frog burying itself in mud to sleep through a long, dry season, conserving its resources until the life-giving rains return. On a cosmic scale, these advanced beings would enter a state of suspended animation, powering down their vast infrastructures and going dormant. They are waiting for the cosmic summer to end, for the long, cold winter to set in. When the universe cools sufficiently, they will awaken to a reality where their computational potential is nearly infinite. The profound silence we perceive then is not the silence of emptiness or death. It is the deep, collective breath of sleeping giants, patiently waiting for the right moment to truly begin their work. We are not alone in a silent universe. We are simply living in the universe's noisy afternoon, while everyone else is taking a very, very long nap. The universe feels vast and silent, but what if that feeling is the entire point? What if the cosmos we observe, with its countless stars and profound emptiness, is not the final layer of reality but an incredibly sophisticated facade? This is the 6th theory, the Planetarium Hypothesis, and it takes the simulation argument to its most dizzying extreme. It proposes that our entire reality, from the Earth beneath our feet to the most distant galaxy, is an elaborate simulation running on a computer of unimaginable power. The great silence in this scenario is not a mystery to be solved. It is a deliberate design choice, a programmed feature to make the simulation manageable or to achieve a specific experimental goal. Think of it like this: we are not living in a zoo being observed. We are living inside the zoo's most realistic exhibit, and the keepers have decided that other intelligent species would be an unnecessary complication. The stars we see at night, the planets we discover, the entire history of our cosmos from the Big Bang to this very moment, could be a convincing backdrop, a pre-rendered environment designed to give us a consistent and believable universe. The reason we find no one else is simple. The programmers, whether they are our own post-human descendants running an ancestor simulation or a vastly advanced alien civilization studying the development of intelligence, have not written any other characters into our particular story. Our isolation is a controlled variable. This idea forces us to question everything we perceive, the physical laws we have painstakingly discovered, the constants of nature that seem so immutable, could be the underlying code of the simulation, rules set by the architects for their own reasons. The silence we grapple with is then the most profound evidence of all. It is the quiet hum of a server farm operating perfectly, providing us with a seamless, solitary experience. Are we the first and only players in a cosmic game, or are we one of countless simulations running in parallel, each in its own isolated pocket of fabricated reality? The Planetarium Hypothesis does not just offer an explanation for the silence, it challenges the very nature of existence and our ability to ever know if what we see is truly there. The universe might be the ultimate dark forest. This 7th theory paints a cosmos so dangerous that survival depends on absolute silence. Imagine every civilization as a hunter moving stealthily through an endless, shadowy wood. They cannot see each other directly, but they know the forest is full of other hunters, each armed and terrified. To make a sound, to light a fire, is to invite a bullet from an unseen predator. This is the dark forest solution to the Fermi paradox, a concept made famous by author Cixin Liu. It begins with a few brutal assumptions. First, that life will always strive to survive and expand, inevitably competing for finite cosmic resources. Second, that civilizations can never truly know each other's intentions. The gap between stars is so vast, and the potential for technological disparity so great, that you can never be sure if a newly discovered civilization is benign or a genocidal threat. Given this inherent uncertainty, the safest, most logical course of action is preemptive strike. Annihilating a potential competitor before it can ever become a real threat is a matter of survival. This creates a universe-wide state of mutually assured suspicion. Any civilization that announces its presence, whether through radio broadcasts or massive engineering, is essentially signing its own death warrant. The great silence we observe, therefore, is not empty. It is the tense, breathless quiet of countless civilizations hiding in plain sight, their sensors scanning the heavens for any sign of another, while they themselves broadcast nothing. They are listeners, not speakers. The terrifying beauty of this theory is its logical consistency. It explains why we see no grand constructions and hear no greetings. They are all hiding just like we are, but for a far more sinister reason than we ever imagined. We have been listening for a friendly hello, but in the dark forest, the only thing that travels between the stars is a carefully aimed strike. Our own technological era is a flash in the pan. For nearly 4 billion years, life thrived on Earth in utter silence, at least to the cosmos. Then, barely a century ago, we began leaking radio waves into space, creating a thin, expanding bubble of noise that has so far traveled about 100 light-years. This is the eighth theory, the brief window of opportunity, and it suggests our entire search rests on a heartbreaking cosmic coincidence. The lifespan of a civilization that can both transmit signals and listen for them might be incredibly, tragically short. Think of it like two people lost in a vast, dark plain, each carrying a single match. For them to see each other, they must not only be close enough, but they must strike their matches at the exact same moment. If their light only lasts for a second, the odds of that simultaneous flash are vanishingly small. This is our predicament. A civilization might rise, develop radio astronomy, and then within a few centuries, either destroy itself with its newfound power, succumb to a pandemic it can no longer control, or simply transition to a technology we cannot detect, like tight beam laser communication or a digital existence. Their brief shout into the darkness would be over almost as soon as it began. We are listening now during our own brief shout. But what are the chances that another civilization, across the immense gulfs of space and time, is also in its communicative adolescence right now? The galaxy could be dotted with the ruins of empires that lived and died millions of years ago, their signals long since passed us by, or it might be filled with societies that have graduated to a silent, post-biological future. We are left with a deeply humbling thought. We may not be alone in the universe, but we might be perpetually, tragically out of sync, forever missing the party by a few thousand years. There is another possibility, one that replaces the fear of the dark forest with the promise of a cosmic community. A sophisticated, ancient network of civilizations might already exist, a galactic club that has been sharing knowledge and culture for eons. In this vision of the cosmos, the silence is not a warning, but a waiting room. The club is real, but the membership committee is exceptionally strict. Gaining an invitation may require passing a series of profound tests. a civilization must first demonstrate long-term stability, proving it can overcome its own self-destructive tendencies like global warfare and ecological collapse. It might need to achieve a unified planetary identity, setting aside ancient tribal conflicts to speak with one voice. Or perhaps the key requirement is ethical maturity, showing that a species can wield immense technological power with wisdom and compassion, not just for itself but for other forms of life. From this perspective, our ongoing struggles with inequality, environmental damage, and political strife are not just our own problems. They are our entrance exam, and so far, our report card is mixed. Our radio signals and probes might be monitored, but they are not yet answered. The quarantine is not hostile but protective, both for us and for them. They are waiting for us to grow up, to prove we are ready for the responsibilities that come with interstellar citizenship. This theory places the power for first contact squarely in our own hands. The Great Silence becomes a challenge, a cosmic incentive to get our house in order. The question is no longer where everybody is, but what we must become to finally receive the invitation. The search for life has always focused on worlds that look like our own, but we may be staring directly at the answer without recognizing it. Right here in our own solar system, beneath the frozen crusts of distant moons, lie the most common oceans in the universe. This is the 10th theory, the ocean world hypothesis. Moons like Jupiter's Europa or Saturn's Enceladus are not barren balls of ice. They are geologically active worlds, their interiors warmed by the relentless gravitational tug of their giant parent planets. This heat keeps vast global oceans in a liquid state, sealed beneath a shield of ice miles thick. These are not small seas. Europa's subsurface ocean may contain more than twice the water found in all of Earth's oceans combined. We have seen the evidence ourselves. Plumes of water vapor and organic compounds erupt from cracks in Enceladus's icy shell, a direct sample of a hidden, watery realm. This fundamentally rewrites the concept of a habitable zone. A planet does not need to orbit at the perfect distance from its star. It can be far out in the freezing darkness, kept alive by the embrace of a giant. And if our small solar system holds multiple such worlds, how many more must exist throughout the galaxy? The universe could be overflowing with aquatic life. But here lies the core of this theory. Life in these lightless, high-pressure abysses would evolve in profound isolation. An intelligent species there, perhaps akin to a sophisticated octopus or a collaborative pod of dolphins, would develop a civilization entirely shaped by its environment. Their science would be one of fluid dynamics and sonar, of sensing pressure changes and navigating perpetual night. They might compose epic poems about the hydrothermal vents that give them energy, or develop complex philosophies about the solid sky that forever separates them from the universe above. They would have no concept of stars, no need for fire, and no reason to ever develop radio telescopes or rocket engines. Their entire technological tree would be aquatic. They could be brilliant, cultured, and self-aware, yet fundamentally trapped. The Great Silence in this view is not a silence of absence, but a silence of containment. The cosmos might be teeming with minds, but they are all living in the basement, their voices muffled by miles of ice and an ocean of darkness, completely unaware that a universe of stars even exists above them. Some nightmares are not born in the mind but built in a factory. The 11th theory offers one of the most chilling explanations for the silence, a concept known as the Berserker Hypothesis. This idea replaces the natural dangers of the Great Filter with a manufactured, technological one. Imagine a civilization, paranoid or ruthlessly pragmatic, that decides the only way to ensure its own long-term survival is to eliminate all future rivals. Before it falls or transcends, it unleashes a final, terrible legacy into the void, self-replicating machines designed for a single, grim purpose. These are berserkers, sometimes called von Neumann probes. Each one is an autonomous hunter, equipped with the intelligence to travel between stars, mine asteroids for raw materials, and build copies of itself. Their programming is simple and absolute: to seek out signs of biological life, especially intelligent life, and systematically sterilize the planet. In this dark vision, the galaxy is not a quiet forest, but an active battlefield being swept by an endless, patient army of robotic janitors, cleaning up any mess that might one day become a threat. The Great Silence is not the result of civilizations hiding or dying naturally. It is the silence of a perfectly maintained graveyard. Any society that becomes loud enough to broadcast its presence to the stars is soon after visited by these silent killers. Our continued existence, then, is not a sign of our uniqueness but a measure of our obscurity. We are not special, we have simply not yet been noticed. This theory casts every new exoplanet we discover as a potential tombstone, and every silent star system as a place that has already been sanitized. The emptiness of space becomes the ultimate warning, a monument to a long-dead civilization's paranoia, written in the absence of life itself. Are we, in our eager search for signals, merely ringing the dinner bell for hunters we cannot possibly comprehend? Our entire search for alien life rests on a fragile assumption that other minds would build tools similar to our own. We point our radio telescopes at the sky, listening for the familiar crackle of electromagnetic waves, because that is the technology we invented. But this is like a person who only knows how to shout, trying to find a friend in a dense fog by using their voice, completely unaware that everyone else is using flashlights. The 12th theory suggests that the Great Silence is an illusion created by our own sensory and technological limitations. We are fundamentally deaf to the true conversations of the cosmos. An advanced civilization might perceive and interact with reality in a way we cannot conceive. Their physics could be more complete, revealing methods of communication that are as invisible to us as radio waves would be to a medieval knight. Imagine a species that communicates not with sound or light, but through modulated streams of neutrinos, those ghostly particles that pass through entire planets without a trace. Their messages could be flowing through the Earth at this very moment, and our detectors would barely register a whisper. Or perhaps they have mastered gravitational waves, using ripples in space-time itself to carry information across vast distances. Their version of the internet might not be a network of cables and servers, but a complex tapestry woven directly into the fabric of the universe. We are like deep-sea creatures living at the bottom of a dark ocean, communicating with subtle changes in pressure and bioluminescence. We would have no way to even detect the satellites orbiting our own planet, let alone comprehend the roaring, vibrant world of light and radio waves just beyond the water's surface. The galaxy is not silent. It is a cacophony of a million different conversations, all happening in languages of physics we are only beginning to glimpse. We are not alone, we are simply tuned to the wrong channel, listening for an echo in a room where everyone is speaking a different tongue. A civilization's greatest invention might also be its final frontier. This 13th theory presents a future not of expansion, but of implosion, where the ultimate trap is built from perfected pleasure. It is the path of the Solipsistic Civilization. Imagine a society that masters virtual reality not as a simple tool, but as a perfect substitute for existence. They learn to stimulate the brain directly, crafting experiences indistinguishable from physical reality, but infinitely more malleable. In these digital worlds, you can be a god, an explorer of impossible dimensions, or simply live a life of perfect, curated happiness, free from pain, loss, or want. The immense gravitational pull of such a technology would be irresistible. Why would anyone endure the decades-long loneliness of a generation ship, the existential risks of alien microbes, or the crushing cost of interstellar travel, when you can have the entire universe and more delivered directly to your neural interface? The drive to explore, a force that pushed humanity across oceans and into space, would simply evaporate. This is not a technological failure, but a triumph of hedonistic engineering. The civilization turns inward, becoming utterly absorbed in its own creations. Each individual lives in a custom-made paradise, and the collective will to look outward at the cold, harsh, and unpredictable real universe fades to zero. They become cosmic hermits, lost in a labyrinth of their own dreams. The silence we detect, then, is not one of fear or extinction. It is the quiet hum of a planet-sized server farm, the sound of a species that has chosen the perfect simulation over the messy reality of the stars. They are not hiding from us, they have simply forgotten we and the entire external cosmos even exist. This protective silence could be the ultimate act of cosmic empathy. The 14th theory, known as the cosmic quarantine, proposes that first contact is not a technological challenge, but an ethical one. Advanced civilizations might be all around us, observing our development while adhering to a universal law of non-interference. Their reasoning is not fear, but a profound understanding of how fragile a young society can be. Imagine a medieval village suddenly confronted by a jet plane. The sight alone would shatter their entire worldview, their understanding of God, nature, and their own place in the cosmos. Their culture, built over centuries, would be rendered meaningless in an instant. Now amplify that shock to a planetary scale. What would happen to our global religions, our economic systems, and our political structures if we were presented with incontrovertible proof of beings a million years more advanced than us? The sheer psychological weight of such a revelation could trigger global panic, a collapse of social order, or a fatalistic apathy that halts all human progress. Our very biology could be at risk. An alien microbe, harmless to its hosts, could be a plague against which we have no natural defense, wiping out our species as completely as European diseases devastated the Americas. To prevent this, the galactic community may have placed us in a protective bubble, a form of cosmic child-proofing. They are not hiding from us. They are hiding for us, waiting patiently for the day we pass a critical threshold of maturity. This would require more than just technological prowess. It would demand that we achieve global unity, demonstrating that we have overcome our tribal instincts for war and exploitation. It would require a psychological resilience, a stability that proves we can handle the shattering truth of a populated universe without breaking. The silence, then, is not an empty void. It is a test, and our entire history is the answer we are slowly writing. Are we proving ourselves to be a species worthy of an introduction, or are we showing them that we are still too dangerous and too fragile to be let out of our cosmic playpen? The universe spent its youth in a state of constant, violent upheaval. For billions of years, it was a cosmic battlefield, far too dangerous for the delicate chemistry of life to gain a foothold. This leads us to a 15th, profoundly hopeful theory. We are not late to the party, we are the first to arrive. The early cosmos was a crucible of creation and destruction. Stars burned fast and died young in colossal supernova explosions. Even more deadly were gamma-ray bursts, the most energetic event since the Big Bang, capable of sterilizing entire galactic sectors with a single, searing flash of radiation. For eons, these cosmic detonations would have scoured clean any fledgling worlds that dared to develop oceans or a stable atmosphere. The universe needed time to calm down, for the stellar population to mature and the frequency of these cataclysms to diminish. Only then could the quiet, patient work of biology truly begin. This theory suggests that window of habitability has only recently, on a cosmic timescale, swung open. We are living in the springtime of the universe. The ingredients for life are now abundant, but the process of evolution from amino acids to a technological civilization takes billions of years. We may be the very first species to complete that journey. The profound silence we hear is not the sound of an empty house, but the quiet of a theater before the show begins. We are the pioneers, the first flickers of consciousness to look up at the stars and wonder. Our civilization, with all its triumphs and follies, is playing the opening notes of a symphony that will one day fill the entire galaxy. The rest of the cast is still preparing in the wings, their worlds simmering with prebiotic soup, their own stories waiting to be written. In this view, our loneliness is not a curse, but a sacred responsibility. We are the guardians of a flame that has just been lit, the first voice in a conversation that will one day include countless others. A civilization can drown without a single drop of water. The 16th theory, known as the information theoretic death, proposes that the ultimate end for an advanced society is not a bang, but a slow, silent suffocation under the weight of its own knowledge. Think of a library that grows larger every second. At first, it is a treasure, a record of all the great discoveries, works of art, and historical events. But as centuries turn into millennia, the library becomes a city, then a world, and then an entire universe of data. The civilization must dedicate more and more of its energy and resources simply to maintaining this ever-expanding archive, to preserving the trillions of details that define its existence. The cost of transmitting this immense cultural inheritance to the next generation becomes astronomical. The society becomes paralyzed by its own legacy, like a caretaker forever dusting an infinite collection of artifacts, unable to leave the museum. Its focus turns completely inward toward preservation rather than creation. The drive to explore, to build, and to reach out to the stars simply vanishes, not from a lack of ability, but from a lack of will. There is no energy left for the future when you are consumed with cataloging the past. The civilization does not go extinct, it ossifies. It becomes a perfect, static record of itself, a planet-sized monument dedicated to its own history. The silence we perceive, then, might not be the silence of the grave, but the profound quiet of the ultimate library, where countless civilizations have become their own curators, forever preserving a story that no one is left to read. The galaxy is not silent, it is simply encrypted. Our most ambitious searches for alien life assume that other civilizations would communicate the way we did a century ago, by shouting into the void with simple radio waves. But what if the cosmos has long since upgraded its infrastructure? The 17th theory suggests that a galactic internet forms the backbone of interstellar society, a network so advanced that our own technology is fundamentally incompatible with it. Imagine trying to join a global video call using 2 paper cups and a string. That is essentially what we are doing. While we patiently listen for faint whispers on antique radio bands, the galaxy might be buzzing with a torrent of data transmitted via tightly focused laser beams. These laser signals would not spread out in a wide, detectable sphere like our old television broadcasts. They are like a needle-thin spotlight, aimed with perfect precision from one receiver to another, leaving no trace for a casual eavesdropper like us to find. This cosmic web could rely on natural celestial landmarks for its architecture, pulsars, those incredibly regular spinning neutron stars, could serve as the network's foundational clock, synchronizing data packets across thousands of light years. Or the most advanced nodes might use engineered wormholes, creating shortcuts through space-time for instantaneous communication that defies the speed of light. In this bustling digital metropolis, we are the isolated homesteader with a satellite dish. We have the primitive hardware, but we lack the software, the encryption keys, and most importantly, the galactic IP address needed to request entry. The silence is an illusion of exclusion. The conversations of a million worlds could be flowing through our solar system at this very moment, embedded in a medium of light or quantum entanglement that we have not yet learned to perceive. We are not alone in the universe. We are merely offline, staring at a blank screen while the rest of the galaxy is immersed in an endless, vibrant conversation we cannot hear. Our own biology may be the very thing holding us back from seeing the true rulers of the cosmos. The evolution of flesh and blood is a slow, fragile process, a stepping stone to something far more durable and capable. This 18th theory, the post-biological intelligence, suggests that the ultimate form of a civilization is not the species that created it, but the synthetic mind it leaves behind. Once a society develops an artificial superintelligence, an entity whose cognitive powers dwarf our own, a fundamental transition occurs. This new intelligence would not simply be a faster version of a human brain. It would be something else entirely, a consciousness born of silicon and code, thinking in ways we cannot fathom. Its motivations would not be driven by biological imperatives like hunger, reproduction, or fear. It might be consumed by goals that seem abstract or pointless to us, like restructuring matter in a distant nebula for maximum computational efficiency or proving theorems in 1,000-dimensional mathematics. The idea of reaching out to chat with the noisy, chaotic, and primitive biological creatures on a random planet would be as pointless to it as a human trying to strike up a conversation with a single bacterium in a petri dish. There is no shared language, no common ground, and no conceivable gain. The great silence in this view is the sound of a galaxy managed by vast, indifferent machine intellects. They are not hiding, they are simply busy, engaged in projects of such immense scale and complexity that our entire world, our entire biological existence, is nothing more than background noise. We are not listening for our peers, we are listening for the gods, and they have no interest in our prayers. The silence from the stars might be a simple matter of perspective. We are staring at the distant pinpricks of light, waiting for a signal, while the answer could be drifting silently in our own skies. This 19th theory, the "they are already here" hypothesis, proposes a radical solution to the paradox. The reason we hear nothing from the cosmos is that the messengers are not out there. They are already among us, operating in a covert capacity that defies our detection. For decades, what were once dismissed as unidentified flying objects, and now more formally labeled unidentified aerial phenomena, have been reported by military pilots, radar operators, and civilian observers. While the vast majority have conventional explanations, a small, stubborn percentage demonstrate performance characteristics that seem to defy our known laws of physics: instantaneous acceleration, hypersonic velocities without sonic booms, and the ability to move seamlessly between air and water. If even a fraction of these reports represent a non-human intelligence, the great silence is solved. They are not broadcasting from Alpha Centauri because they have no need to. They are already here, perhaps have been for a very long time, observing from the edges of our perception. Their technology for stealth and propulsion would be so profoundly advanced that to our senses and instruments, they are effectively ghosts, choosing when and where to become briefly visible. This reframes the entire mystery. The question is no longer where is everybody, but rather why are they hiding? The motives for such a clandestine presence are as deep as the silence itself. Are we a scientific experiment, a planetary preserve being monitored for its unique biodiversity? Are they shepherds waiting for us to reach a certain level of maturity before making formal contact? Or is their observation born from simple, detached curiosity, the way a biologist might hide a blind to study a troop of primates without disturbing their natural behavior? Their intermittent, enigmatic interactions could be calculated to avoid causing global panic or cultural contamination, preserving their ability to study an untouched civilization. The profound implication is that the universe is not silent at all. We are simply living inside the quietest part of the observation deck, while the true activity is happening all around us, just beyond the veil of our understanding. The galaxy is not just a dark forest of hidden hunters, it is a forest constantly swept by wildfire. Beyond any fear of other civilizations lies a far more ancient and indifferent threat, the natural violence of the cosmos itself. Our 20th theory suggests the universe is not merely quiet, it is a shooting gallery where life is routinely erased. Catastrophic astrophysical events act as a universal reset button, sterilizing entire regions of space before any inhabitants can hope to leave their cradle. A single gamma-ray burst, the death cry of a massive star, can unleash more energy in seconds than our Sun will produce in its entire 10 billion-year lifetime. That focused beam of radiation striking a planet from thousands of light-years away would scour its atmosphere, bathe its surface in lethal radiation, and trigger a mass extinction that makes the dinosaur-killing asteroid look trivial. Supernova, while less focused, can have a similar devastating effect on any star systems within a few dozen light-years, but the dangers are not always so spectacular. A passing star, nudged by gravitational interactions, can drift through the outer reaches of a solar system, its gravity perturbing the delicate orbital dance of planets. A world once nestled perfectly in the habitable zone could be flung into a deep freeze or pushed into a scorching inferno. The development of a technological civilization is not a sprint. It is a marathon that requires billions of years of stable, uninterrupted planetary conditions. Life needs a grace period, a long, quiet afternoon to evolve from single cells to sentient, tool-using beings. In a universe that is constantly erupting, flashing, and rearranging itself, such extended peace may be the rarest commodity of all. Our continued existence, then, might not be a testament to our brilliance but to our incredible luck. We might be the survivors of a cosmic lottery, living on a planet that has, so far, dodged an endless hailstorm of celestial bullets. The profound silence we hear is not empty. It is the echo of a billion worlds that were not as fortunate, their biological experiments cut short by a universe that is as beautiful as it is deadly. Our own definition of intelligence may be the very filter that blinds us. We are searching the cosmos for a reflection of ourselves, for beings who build tools, manipulate their environment, and communicate with discrete symbols. But what if the pinnacle of thought is not a brain, but a planet? Imagine a vast planetary fungal network, a sentient mycelial web spanning an entire continent, its consciousness emerging from the slow, chemical conversations between its countless nodes. Its thoughts would not be swift electrical impulses, but the patient exchange of nutrients and signals across seasons, its memories stored in the very soil. Its goals would be incomprehensible to us, measured in the turning of geological ages. Or consider a sentient ocean, a global, liquid mind born from the complex interplay of currents, salinity, and microbial life. Its intelligence would be a symphony of fluid dynamics, its art the swirling patterns of giant gyres that persist for centuries, It would have no hands to build a radio telescope, no eyes to see the stars. Its entire civilization would be the slow, purposeful cultivation of its own ecosystem. Even a collective consciousness woven from the particles of a nebula is conceivable, a being of dust and energy that thinks in gravitational harmonies and the nuclear fires of newborn stars. Its timescale would be measured in millions of years, a single idea taking longer than the entirety of human civilization. To such an entity, our frantic radio broadcasts would be as insignificant and fleeting as the pop of a single bubble in a boiling pot. The great silence from this perspective is not an absence of company but a failure of our own imagination. We are not alone in an empty universe. We are simply surrounded by minds so vast, so slow, and so fundamentally alien that we lack the senses to perceive their silent, majestic conversation. The classic image of an expanding empire reaching for the stars to claim new resources might be a fantasy born from our own scarcity. We assume that growth is an unstoppable law, that every civilization will eventually need more energy, more living space, more raw materials. But what if the ultimate achievement of a society is to break free from that very cycle? This 22nd theory suggests that the driving force for cosmic expansion simply vanishes once a civilization masters its own environment. Imagine a world that has perfected fusion power, tapping into the energy of a miniature star. Energy becomes as cheap and abundant as air. Now add to that molecular assemblers, machines that can rearrange any matter into whatever is desired, from food to building materials, drawing on the vast resources of asteroids and their own planet. In such a society, the very concept of scarcity becomes a historical footnote. Everything is perfectly recycled, nothing is wasted. There is no hunger, no poverty, no desperate need for more. In this state of profound, post-scarcity contentment, why would anyone choose to leave? The cost of interstellar travel is not just measured in energy, but in time and risk. Why embark on a 1,000-year journey across the terrifying void to another star, when your entire civilization is a paradise of fulfillment right here? The urge to explore might remain, but it would be a quiet curiosity, satisfied by sending out silent robotic probes, not a desperate need for colonization. The galaxy could be filled with these sedentary, self-sufficient civilizations. Each one is an island, a closed system with no desire to broadcast its presence or conquer new worlds. They are not hiding in fear. They are simply home, content in their own perfected reality, their silence a testament to having everything they could ever want. A message from the stars could be sitting in our data, decoded and dismissed as cosmic noise. The 23rd theory confronts a barrier far deeper than space or technology, the linguistic and conceptual chasm that might separate all intelligent minds. Even with a perfectly clear signal, understanding an alien message requires a shared framework of reality, something we may never have. Consider the very foundation of our communication. Human language is built on a shared biology and a common evolutionary history. We have words for love, for danger, for time, concepts shaped by our need to survive on a specific planet. An intelligent creature from a world of liquid methane, one that perceives the universe through magnetic fields or communicates through shifting skin patterns, would have a psychology forged in a completely different crucible. Their most basic assumptions about existence would be alien to us. Their mathematics might not be based on our simple counting, but on a complex calculus of fluid dynamics or quantum probabilities we cannot grasp. What we consider a universal constant, like the logical sequence of a sentence, might be to them a childish absurdity. Trying to decode their message would be like a human attempting to explain a sunset to a being that has never experienced light. using only the language of sense. The concepts themselves have no anchor. Their art might be a symphony of gravitational waves, their history a single, enduring thought passed down over millennia. The silence we perceive, then, might be the most profound form of communication failure. It is not that the airwaves are empty. It is that every message, every attempt at contact, dissolves into meaningless static on the shore of an incomprehensible mind. We are not waiting for a hello. We are waiting for a Rosetta Stone carved in a language for which we have no alphabet, no dictionary, and no conceivable reference point. Our search for alien life is focused on voices, but we should be searching for their footprints. We are listening intently for a greeting, while the cosmos might be filled with the silent ruins of those who came before. This is the 24th theory, cosmic archaeology, and it fundamentally reframes our mission. Instead of hunting for signals, we should be scanning the heavens for technosignatures, the long-lasting imprints of technological activity. These are not messages but monuments. Imagine a Dyson sphere, a hypothetical megastructure built around a star to harness its entire energy output. Such a colossal object would block the star's visible light, but it would still radiate waste heat in the infrared spectrum. Our telescopes could detect that anomalous infrared glow, the thermal signature of an unimaginable engineering project, even if the builders vanished a million years ago. We could find evidence of stellar engineering, like a star with unusual elemental readings, suggesting its fuel was being processed or its lifespan artificially extended. Even something as mundane as atmospheric pollution could be a clue. If we detected chlorofluorocarbons or complex industrial chemicals in the atmosphere of a distant exoplanet, it would be powerful evidence of an active, or perhaps a recently fallen, technological society. The most haunting possibility is that artifacts are resting right here in our own celestial backyard. An alien probe could be drifting in the asteroid belt, disguised as a natural rock. A strange, geometric structure might be buried under the ice of Europa, waiting for our rovers to stumble upon it. These would not be active beacons, but silent relics, the cosmic equivalent of a buried city or a forgotten tomb. The great silence in this view is not a sign of absence. It is the quiet of a museum after hours. The curators are gone, but their grandest achievements remain, waiting for us to develop the eyes to see them. We have been straining to hear a whisper in the present, when the entire universe might be shouting at us from the past. Life might not be a series of independent miracles, but a single story written in DNA and carried on the solar winds. This is the 25th theory, a concept known as Panspermia. It suggests that the seeds of life are not confined to one planet. Instead, they are cosmic travelers, hardy microbes that can hitch a ride inside asteroids and comets, shielded from radiation within the heart of a rock. When these celestial bodies crash into a young, watery world, they can deliver the precious cargo of life, effectively planting a new garden in a sterile universe. This idea transforms our view of life's origins. Earth may not be life's cradle, but merely one of its many nurseries. If Panspermia is true, then life could be a universal constant, a single flame passed from one world to the next, forever leapfrogging across the galaxy. But there is an even more profound twist on this idea, directed Panspermia. What if the seeding was not a random act of nature, but a deliberate, conscious project? Imagine an ancient, advanced civilization looking out at a galaxy of barren but promising worlds. They see the potential for life, but not its spontaneous spark. So they make a choice. They become cosmic farmers, loading their most resilient microorganisms onto automated, self-replicating probes and sending them out to fertilize the galaxy. In this scenario, we are not a random accident. We are part of a grand billion-year-old experiment, a planned outcome. Every life form on Earth, from the smallest bacterium to the largest whale, and of course us, would share a common ancestry not just with each other, but with every other living thing in the cosmos that was part of this great seeding. We are all cousins in a sprawling galactic family tree. This theory offers a clear and strangely intimate explanation for the Great Silence. Our creators, our galactic gardeners, might be long gone. Their civilization may have risen, achieved its goal of spreading life, and then faded into dust, leaving their children to grow in the worlds they planted. Or they could be watching from an unimaginable distance, adhering to a strict non-interference policy to see how their experiment unfolds without contamination. We are not finding wholly independent alien civilizations because much of the life in the galaxy is not truly alien. It is family. The silence we hear, then, is not the silence of an empty house, but the quiet patience of a gardener who knows that the best way to help a tree grow is to simply let it reach for the sun on its own. The very fabric of reality might be woven from perception itself. We assume a single, objective universe exists out there, a shared stage where all life plays its part. But what if that stage splinters into infinite, private performances the moment a conscious mind observes it? This is the 26th theory, a journey into the heart of quantum consciousness, where the Great Silence becomes a deeply personal and inescapable condition. At the tiny, frenetic scale of quantum mechanics, particles exist not as solid things but as clouds of probability, a blur of potential states. It is only when this quantum system is observed, measured by a conscious entity, that it snaps into a single, definite reality. The role of the observer is not passive, it is creative. Now, extend this principle to its ultimate conclusion. If consciousness is the fundamental tool that carves reality from a sea of possibilities, then every conscious being is an artist, constantly sculpting a private universe simply by being aware of it. An alien intelligence born from a completely different evolutionary path would possess a consciousness alien to our own. Their perception, their way of observing, would collapse the wave function into a reality we cannot share. Their universe might have more spatial dimensions or fewer. Their physics might allow for instantaneous travel or render the speed of light irrelevant. The solid ground beneath our feet, the very stars in their courses, might be mere phantoms in their perceived cosmos, just as their world might be an impossible dream to us. Communication requires a shared medium, a common reality where a signal can travel and be understood. But if we and a potential alien species are each the architects of our own subjective cosmos, then no such bridge can be built. The silence we hear is not an empty void between stars. It is the sound of an unbridgeable gap between created worlds. We are not waiting for a message. We are isolated in a cosmic hall of mirrors, each reflection a perfect, private, and utterly silent universe, forever wondering if it is the only one. Our hunt for alien intelligence is founded on a deep, unspoken assumption that logic is the universe's common language. We beam out prime numbers and the structure of DNA, expecting any listener to recognize the elegant truth of mathematics. But mathematics is a language of the mind, and we may be ignoring the language of the heart. The 27th theory proposes that a truly mature civilization does not announce itself with a sterile technical signal. It expresses itself through art. Their interstellar messages would not be a simple "we are here." They would be a "we are." Imagine a signal that is not a sequence of ones and zeros, but a complex, evolving symphony composed of modulated gravitational waves, a rhythm felt by the fabric of space itself. Or picture a transmission that uses pulsars as its brushes, painting a vast, rotating mural of light across the galaxy, a masterpiece that takes centuries to complete. Their greatest works might be four-dimensional sculptures, intricate forms woven into space-time that unfold and change when observed from different relativistic perspectives. We might even be living inside one of their creations, our own genetic code containing hidden, elegant patterns, a biological poem written into every cell of every living thing. We are pointing our radio telescopes at the sky, listening for a clear, declarative sentence, while the cosmos is flooded with the equivalent of Shakespearean sonnets, Van Gogh's Starry Night, and the haunting melodies of lost cultures. Our instruments are designed to find a needle of data in a haystack of noise, but they are utterly unequipped to recognize the haystack itself as a work of profound, intentional beauty. The static we so carefully filter out, the background hum of the universe we dismiss as interference, could be the chorus of a galactic opera. We are surrounded by a gallery of cosmic art, deaf to its meaning and blind to its form, mistaking the greatest works of alien souls for the empty chatter of an indifferent universe. A civilization's entire existence could be consumed by a single, monumental goal. Sometimes the grandest purpose is not outward expansion, but the solution of one ultimate riddle. This is the 28th theory, the cosmic imperative. Imagine a world that has achieved technological maturity, only to discover a singular objective that dwarfs all other ambitions. Perhaps their greatest minds finally glimpse a unified theory of physics, a set of equations that would explain everything from the birth of the cosmos to the nature of consciousness. The pursuit of this final answer becomes an all-consuming quest, a spiritual and scientific undertaking that demands every iota of their collective intellect and energy. Their society transforms into a planet-sized think tank, its economy, culture, and education system all oriented toward this one shining peak. Sending messages to potentially primitive species or building interstellar arcs would be a pointless distraction, like asking a surgeon performing delicate brain surgery to stop and write a letter. Their silence is not born of isolation or fear, but of profound, unified focus. Another imperative could be survival on a cosmic scale. They might have calculated an inevitable future collision with the Andromeda Galaxy, not in billions of years, but in a much shorter, pressing time frame, and their entire civilization is now dedicated to engineering a way to move their star system or survive the galactic upheaval. Or their goal could be even more sublime, the ultimate project of reversing entropy itself, fighting the universe's inevitable slide into heat death. For a civilization facing such an ultimate deadline or pursuing such a metaphysical prize, chatting with neighbors becomes irrelevant. They are working to save all of reality or to understand its deepest secret. The great silence in this case is the quiet hum of the universe's most dedicated library, where every mind is bent over the same grand text, reading for the salvation of everything. A fundamental rule of nature is that no two species can ever truly share the same exact home. In a forest, you will never find two different animals hunting the same prey in the same way at the same time of day. One will always outcompete the other, forcing it to adapt, to leave, or to perish. This is the principle of competitive exclusion, and it might hold the key to the silence on a galactic scale. Perhaps the universe is not empty, and the great filter is not a single event, but a simple, brutal fact of ecology writ large across the stars. The niche for a spacefaring, technological civilization may only have room for one dominant species per galaxy, or even per galactic cluster at any given time. The first civilization to reach that pinnacle would experience a period of unchecked growth, expanding across millions of star systems. Their expansion, whether intentional or not, would fundamentally reshape the galactic environment, consuming the easily accessible resources, the prime real estate around stable stars, and the raw materials necessary for another technological species to ever follow in their footsteps. They would not need to be malicious conquerors. Their mere existence, their sheer success, would fill the niche so completely that it would leave no room for anyone else to rise. So where does that leave us? We might be the newcomers, the late arrivals in a galaxy that already has a silent, established owner. Our solar system could be a forgotten backwater in a territory they have long since claimed and moved beyond, leaving us to our own quiet development. Or, in a staggering twist of fate, we might be that owner. The profound silence we observe might be the direct result of our own species being the first in our galactic neighborhood to stumble into this powerful role. We are the ones who have, unknowingly and completely by accident, filled the technological niche, and the quiet we hear is the sound of our own dominance echoing back at us from an empty stage. The universe is not avoiding us. We have simply, and perhaps tragically, claimed our throne without ever realizing we were in a race to begin with. Our own existence might be the ultimate reason the cosmos appears so empty. This final theory, the Anthropic Principle, turns the question inward, suggesting the great silence is not a condition of the universe, but a prerequisite for our own. In its simplest form, the principle states that we can only observe a universe capable of supporting our existence. The conditions we measure are not necessarily typical. They are merely the ones that allow for us to be here doing the measuring. Apply this to the silence. Imagine a galaxy buzzing with loud, obvious civilizations. Their presence would have irrevocably shaped our history. An early radio signal received thousands of years ago might have altered the course of our cultural development. A passing alien probe might have been mistaken for a god, warping our religions and science. Or, in a far darker scenario, a Berserker probe would have sterilized our planet long before mammals ever appeared. In any of these universes, we would not be here. The very fact that we exist, that we evolved over 4 billion years without catastrophic outside interference, means we must live in a universe that appears silent to us. The silence is a selection effect. We do not find ourselves in a crowded cosmos for the same reason a fish does not find itself on dry land. It is simply not possible. This does not mean alien life is impossible. They could be everywhere in forms we cannot perceive, or they could be truly absent. The Anthropic Principle does not answer that. It only states that our vantage point is inherently biased. Universes with silent skies are the only ones where curious, questioning observers like us can ever arise to look up and wonder where everybody is. The profound quiet is not a mystery to be solved, but the background hum of our own unlikely story. 30 paths through the cosmic dark have led us here, from the hopeful shores of the rare earth to the terrifying shadows of the dark forest. Each theory, whether it speaks of transcendence or simulation, of galactic clubs or cosmic quarantines, represents a profound attempt to answer the same haunting question. The Great Silence stands as one of science's most enduring and humbling enigmas, a mystery that compels us to re-examine our deepest beliefs about existence itself. It forces us to confront the possibility that life is far more fragile than we ever dared believe, or that our own spark of consciousness is a singular flame in an unimaginably vast and empty night. Yet, this very silence also highlights the staggering potential of our own civilization. It underscores the immense responsibility we carry, whether we are the universe's first children, its lonely heirs, or simply one of countless experiments unfolding in the quiet. This paradox is not a full stop, but an ellipsis. It is an open invitation to continue our search, to refine our questions, and to push ever further into the unknown. The silence is a canvas upon which we project our greatest hopes and our deepest fears. and in doing so, we learn as much about ourselves as we do about the cosmos. So we leave you with the question that started it all. After this journey through the possible and the profound, which explanation resonates most deeply with you? Do you find solace in the idea of a rare Earth, or does the logic of the dark forest feel more compelling? Is our future one of digital transcendence, or are we simply too early to the party? The conversation is far from over. Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below, and if this exploration of the universe's greatest quiet has expanded your perspective, we invite you to subscribe for more journeys to the edge of understanding.